The emergence of a major name in documents that have once again become a topic of public discussion often immediately attracts widespread attention, especially when that name belongs to Michael Jackson, a figure who for decades has been known as a global icon in music and pop culture. In recent times, international media attention has once again turned to documents related to the social network of Jeffrey Epstein, a case that has long been one of the most controversial and widely analyzed topics in global news coverage. When a number of archives, often referred to as the Epstein files, began to be discussed again in media reports and public analysis, the list of names contained within them immediately became the focus of attention because it included many well-known figures from various fields. Among the hundreds of names listed, the appearance of Michael Jackson's name triggered a new wave of discussion that quickly spread across many information platforms, ranging from international news portals to digital discussion spaces followed by millions of people around the world. Public attention increased even further because Michael Jackson was not only known as a legendary singer, but also as a figure who throughout his career interacted with many prominent individuals in the entertainment industry, international charity activities, and various exclusive events that brought together influential figures from different sectors. In the global entertainment landscape, which is filled with cross-industry social networks, it is not unusual for many well-known names to appear in various contact lists owned by influential figures. The documents that have once again become the subject of public discussion themselves are a vast collection of archives, including personal contact books, communication records, and administrative documents that once appeared in legal proceedings related to the Epstein case. When these archives began to be analyzed again by investigative journalists and international media, public attention naturally focused on every detail that appeared in them, including lists of names that previously had not attracted much attention from the general public. In situations like this, understanding the context of the documents becomes extremely important because personal contact lists essentially function only as records of communication that may include many names from different backgrounds without necessarily reflecting a deep relationship between the individuals listed. Many media analysts explain that Epstein's social network over the years was known to be very extensive and included various circles, ranging from business figures and academics to public figures from the international entertainment industry. When contact lists like these are reopened to the public, it is not surprising that many well-known names appear as part of the communication records stored in those personal archives. However, in the modern media era that moves very quickly, any piece of information connected to a major public figure often immediately triggers enormous public curiosity. This is what caused the appearance of Michael Jackson's name in the documents to once again become a widely discussed topic, bringing about various analyses of how social networks among international elites may have intersected during different occasions over many years. The development of this story also demonstrates how old documents can once again become the center of global attention when those archives are analyzed in a new context by the media and public observers. Every detail that emerges from those documents then becomes part of a broader discussion about the social relationships behind the international entertainment world. Meanwhile, the public continues to follow developments from various media reports, trying to understand how such a major name could appear within such a vast archive, and what the presence of that name actually means within the context of documents that have once again become the focus of global attention. As public attention toward documents related to Jeffrey Epstein continues to grow, a number of international media reports have begun revisiting how those archives first became part of legal processes and investigations that unfolded over many years. The documents often referred to as the Epstein files are essentially a vast collection of archives originating from various sources, including personal communication records, contact books, and administrative documents that were compiled during the course of the investigation. When parts of these archives began to be analyzed again by journalists and researchers, public attention gradually turned to the list of names contained within them, a list that includes hundreds of individuals from a wide range of professional and social backgrounds. It is within this context that the name Michael Jackson has reappeared in news coverage, not as the central focus of the legal case being discussed, but as one of many names recorded within the extensive network of contacts that Epstein maintained over the years. Media reports explain that personal contact books often function as communication records that may include the names of individuals who were introduced through social networks, exchanged contact information, or simply existed within the same social circles during a particular period. And the world of international entertainment, which is filled with major events, industry gatherings, and global charity activities, it is not uncommon for famous figures to exchange contact information as part of professional or social interactions. This is one reason why the contact lists that appear in Epstein's archives seem so extensive and include many names from various sectors, ranging from politics and business to academia and the entertainment industry. Several media analysts also emphasize that understanding the context of documents like these is essential so that the public does not draw incorrect conclusions from archival records. In the practice of documenting communications, a name can appear in a contact book without indicating a close or ongoing relationship between two individuals. Such records often serve merely as references of information stored by the owner of the document at a certain point in time. Therefore, the presence of a name in such a list reflects more the breadth of a social network that once existed around the individual who owned the archive. Public attention toward Michael Jackson's name cannot be separated from the immense influence the musician had in the history of the global entertainment industry. Throughout his career, Jackson was known as one of the most famous figures in the world, frequently interacting with prominent individuals from many countries and professional backgrounds. His extraordinary popularity placed him at numerous international events that brought together major figures from different fields, ranging from charity concerts to industry gatherings involving public figures from various nations. In that context, many observers believe that the social networks surrounding the global entertainment world are often extremely broad and involve many individuals who may have only met on certain occasions. Meanwhile, discussions about the Epstein documents continue to evolve as more media reports attempt to explain the contents of these archives to the public in greater detail. Each time another portion of old documents is discussed in investigative reporting, public attention once again shifts toward the details contained within them. This situation illustrates how archives that have existed for years can return to global prominence when they are analyzed within a new news context. For many media observers, it also reflects how strong public curiosity remains regarding the social networks of major global figures, especially when documents related to major cases resurface in international news coverage. Amid the rapid flow of information, the public is now waiting for more comprehensive explanations from the many reports that continue to emerge regarding the contents of these documents. Investigative journalists, researchers, and media analysts continue to study the available archives to ensure that every piece of information can be understood accurately within its proper context. This process is what keeps the discussion about the social networks recorded in Epstein's documents a topic closely followed by people around the world. And as each detail within those archives is gradually understood more thoroughly, the public continues to await a clearer picture of how such a vast social network once formed and why many of the world's most famous names, including Michael Jackson, could appear within communication records that have once again become the focus of global attention.as. Discussions surrounding documents related to Jeffrey Epstein continue to attract international media attention. Each archive analyzed opens new perspectives on how extensive social networks can form around individuals who maintain connections across many circles. When these documents began to be examined more closely in investigative reports, journalists sought to explain to the public that archives of this nature often represent collections of records compiled over many years and do not necessarily indicate deep relationships between the individuals whose names appear within them. It is within this context that the appearance of Michael Jackson's name has once again drawn attention, because his position as one of the most famous figures in the history of global entertainment gives any detail connected to him a powerful appeal to the worldwide public. Several reports note that the personal contact book that forms part of the archive essentially functions as a communication record that may contain names of individuals introduced through social networks, those who exchanged contact information, or those who attended the same events during a certain period. Within international social environments, especially those involving celebrities and public figures, the exchange of contact information is a very common occurrence. Many well-known personalities frequently attend events that bring together figures from the entertainment industry, business world, and international charitable organizations. Interactions that take place during such events often create very broad social networks in which many names become recorded as part of professional or social communication. When the public looks at the list of names within documents related to Epstein, attention usually focuses immediately on globally recognized figures. This phenomenon is closely linked to the influence of the media and the speed at which information spreads in the digital era. Each time a famous name appears in reports connected to a major case, public discussion quickly develops across multiple platforms. However, many investigative journalists continue to emphasize that understanding the context of the documents is essential so that the information can be viewed proportionally. A personal contact book does not necessarily indicate an active or close relationship. Rather, it often serves merely as a record of information stored by its owner. In the developing news coverage, media analysts also highlight how Michael Jackson's long career placed him within many international social networks for decades. As an artist with enormous global influence, Jackson was known to attend numerous charity concerts, award ceremonies, and industry gatherings that brought together many prominent figures from different countries. Within such environments, it is entirely possible that exchanges of contact information occurred and were later recorded in various communication archives belonging to other individuals within the same social network. Discussions about the Epstein documents also illustrate how old archives can once again become major topics when reopened or analyzed within a new news context. The Epstein case itself has become one of the most widely discussed legal issues in recent decades, which means that any document connected to his social network inevitably attracts broad attention from both media and the public. When lists of names from those archives are discussed again, many people try to understand how social relationships among international elites may have formed through various meetings, events, and professional networks over many years. Meanwhile, many media outlets continue striving to explain the contents of these documents through more comprehensive approaches so that the public can understand their context more clearly. Journalists, researchers, and information analysts continue examining the available archives to ensure that every detail presented can be delivered accurately and without creating misunderstanding. This process shows how journalistic work in analyzing historical documents often requires significant time before a clearer overall picture can be presented to the public. Amid this ongoing process, public interest in the Epstein documents continues. Every new report that emerges brings additional details that make people increasingly curious to understand the larger story behind the archives. With more analyses being conducted by international media, the public now awaits a more complete explanation of how such an extensive social network once formed and why many of the world's most prominent names were recorded within communication archives that have once again become the focus of global attention.